Mhm. Mhm. Lifestyle, child of God, greetings to the family. Bear with me while I get myself together here. I'm gonna talk to y'all about some of the dreams that I've had over the years about Jay-Z and Beyonce, which they're saying that Jay and Beyonce are these people, man, and I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. For hip hop, it's sad, right? Because it's just like, how do we get entangled? The goal is to make it, but like not get entangled into the stuff, you know. Um, Cats is supposed to be superheroes. Cats are people are supposed to be like superheroes, dog. Like these hip hoppers, and so goddamn Pusha T and Jay Z, they've been named in the Epstein files, as you know, and the internet has also been talking about this lady named Sloan Bella, and so about a year ago, pretty much in March last year, she put out a post that um, basically Jay Z. She put out a post that basically Jay Z was gonna, be on his way down. Okay, cool. Got that together. Oh man, I'm at work, everybody. I had to put my work stuff together real quick so I can talk to y'all, and hopefully y'all can hear me out there. Whoever decides to listen, appreciate y'all for subscribing and watching. You already know. Shout out to the haters and the congratulators. I'm gonna try to move here quickly. I'm gonna try to move quickly as I Man, I really don't want my face on this thing. Okay. I'm gonna try to move quickly here, everybody. I'm gonna try to move quickly as possible. Uh, One second here. Where's that? I don't see it. I got it. Okay. Okay, everybody. So let's talk about this. Hopefully, y'all can hear me out there. I'm gonna be doing my job while I talk to y'all about these dreams that I used to have. And it's crazy because I'm listening to Sloan Bella, right? And she's like some psychic lady. She used to be a stripper, and I think out on the West Coast and stuff. And the stuff she was saying, about how she sees Jay Z using psychic abilities or witchcraft or stuff like that, and that he may be involved in or invested in. She said invested in, excuse me. And like I said, you can go check this interview out for yourself. This interview was March of last year on Sloan Bella, right? And basically, uh, she was saying, like I said, she was saying that he's invested in like COINTELPRO type technologies or remote viewing type stuff, right? And she said he definitely goes and sees like a psychic reader. And the thing that triggered me to make me want to come up here and talk about some of these dreams that I had was that she said that he was invested in remote viewing. And we know that the federal government, the FBI, is invested in remote viewing. Which remote viewing, for those who don't know what that is, it's pretty much there are people out there, I being one of them. There are people out there who can see outside themselves and see what's going on with folks in their actual lives, right? They're remote viewing. People can like remotely be one place, but they can, spiritually maybe have an open vision or they have a dream. They can see what's going on somewhere else and what somebody else is doing. I have a lot of those types of dreams, especially nowadays, man, but not so much more recently. The Lord has been blessing me that I haven't been dreaming like that. But when she said that he's invested in like remote viewing, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. That kind of makes sense now on why I was having these dreams. And I think that if he's that invested, him and Beyonce, if they're that invested in the practices that they're invested in. So wait, let me there's a possibility that these spiritual things or these things that I'm seeing are absolutely true. And I feel like intuitively, I feel like, wow, this is crazy that all this stuff is lining up. Now, I did give this testimony to two people in life. Um, there's only two people that know about these dreams that I had before all these accusations, or people before we found out that Jay-Z was in the Epstein files. My mom being one of them, and um, the deacon. This deacon I met in this deacon I met when I was in Bowie. Older gentleman, older gentleman. And I remember we were sitting because he used to come minister to me, and I was sitting one day and we were talking, and we were talking, and I told him about these dreams. You know what I mean? I was telling him about the dreams that I've been having. So, anywho, um, I guess let's get down to the dreams, and hopefully y'all can still hear me okay. Hopefully y'all can hear me out there. Because I gotta still do my job while I'm talking to you at work. But um, so the first dream that I can remember, and these dreams happened, I think, sometime after high school, but I don't remember. I think maybe even a little bit of time after high school, might be. Can't really recall when I was having these dreams exactly, but I did have multiple dreams where Jay Z and Beyonce, it was never just Jay by himself. It was Jay Z and Beyonce, and they would come visit me. And I mean just that, like they would come check in on me. It was kind of crazy. And when you think about it as a dream, right? You're just like, okay, first you think like, am I listening to too much Jay Z? I damn sure don't listen to Beyonce. Now, don't get me wrong, like all females listen to Beyonce, all of them, especially black females. And depending on the caliber of female that you're dealing with, she definitely gonna be listening to Beyonce in her car, in the house, something. B is a staple. That's a fact. But I wouldn't say that I was listening to them too much. No, I'm not doing that. So in this one dream, I was a child and I was in this townhouse and we were in this neighborhood and it was dark. And I remember I was in the house, but I was with other children, like like you're at a babysitter or something like that. And I was with other children. I do remember being small. I didn't know any of these people in actual reality. We were sitting at a table. It was a townhouse. I remember. I remember seeing the downstairs and steps. But I remember Jay-Z and Beyonce came to the townhouse to like check in on the children there. And I was one of the children at the table, and they would come check in on us and see how we were doing. Now, this is just in some type of townhouse. I don't know what neighborhood. It's in a nicer neighborhood. Like I said, it was dark outside. And it's crazy because Sloan was saying that people like Jay-Z and Beyonce, they have this darkness around them where they like maybe might even have like this vampire type lifestyle where they basically are proactive at night and they sleep during the day. Like so when we get up, they're asleep type thing. And she was saying that maybe even that she's getting like underground vibes, right? And remember P. Diddy, they come to find out he had like this underground tunnel, under his house connecting to these. Anywho, so that was one dream. Like I don't remember anything besides just that. I thought it was weird at the time because I'm like Jay Z, Beyonce. Am I listening to too much of them? Not really. But you people dream, right? So you don't think nothing about it. But then over the course of years, I've had a lot of dreams where they would come check in on me. And again, the two witnesses I have are the deacon that I met in Bowie, Maryland, and he's an older guy, light skinned guy, and my mom. Like I told them about these dreams before all this Epstein file stuff, but they used to come check in on me, and I did have a one dream about them more recently. I would say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where they came and picked me up, and I was grown though. I think I was grown, or I was older, but they came and picked me up in a van and they took me to their concert. It was sold out. It was crazy. I think it was like a Beyonce concert, and I think Jay was just, how Jay is, how he just kind of comes in and does his little verses or whatever. He helps perform, and Jay Jay let me perform on stage. Right? He gave me the microphone. He let me perform on stage. But in the midst of us getting there, we were in the van with, Jay was or B was driving actually, and Jay got in the passenger side. But it was interesting. Um, Now, I say these things to say that possibly maybe God allowed me to remote view, right? Maybe He allowed me to remote view, and maybe He was sharing things with me that's going on low key. Um, and, there's so much conspiracy theory back in the day. Now, it's conspiracy theory is like that ain't no conspiracy, right? But I think I wanted to share these little tidbits of what I could remember because I've had a lot of dreams of them over the course of years. But most of the dreams, besides the first one I told you about, and this most recent one I just told you about, most of the dreams of them like checking in on me, right? They're like checking in on me, like they're checking in on me. I don't, and I'm always going somewhere in the dream. I'm always going somewhere like that's super beautiful. It's always a house. It's always super beautiful, um, or they come visit me, but I'm in the house and it's super nice. Like I don't know how to, yeah. But I've had these dreams over the course of years, and maybe the Lord allowed me to remote view that. Now I'm not doing this for views or anything like that. I just wanted to put this out there because I find it interesting that now we're finding out that Jay and Pusha T are in the Epstein files. Now, here's the thing what I believe about that. When it comes to the Epstein files and Jay-Z and Pusha T, it might be that they're possibly still involved in the drug game. It might be that they're involved in the drug game, family, because I think that they may be. Listen, you talking about Jay-Z and Pusha T. Now, any song that you've ever heard with Jay-Z and Pusha T on it, any song that you've ever heard with Jay-Z and Pusha T on it, they talking about hustling. And they talk about hustling hard. They talk about being the best hustlers and the dynamics of their hustle and how grand it is, right? How spectacular, global it is. I think that they was hustling to these cats that was in the Epstein files. I think that they might have been selling drugs. You know what I mean? And now it's already been stated, and you can look it up. It's already been stated through other people's channels And through some of those, like, conspiracy theory channels that have a lot of followers and things like that, it's already been stated that it's believed to be that Jay-Z is connected to the mob, to the mob families, right? The crime families, the Italian crime families in New York. That's what the rumor is online, right? But it makes sense. Like, if you think about it at a high level, he might be moving work. You know what I mean? And that's what Sloan Bella said. Like, she said he's really connected at a high level, and that. Hold on, family. Let me charge my phone here before it dies on me. But yeah, she was saying that. Whew. She was saying that he is possibly like really connected at a high level, and that he may be, um, using these businesses to wash his money. Like, that's not where his money is coming from and stuff like that. Now, you would have to go back and watch Sloan Bella. That's Sloanbella. She's a white lady. Used to be a stripper. Very good looking still. She's older now. I think she's in her 50s, but still very good looking. Um, you would have to go back and check her and see what she was talking about and how she connected the dots via, spiritually. Now she is a psychic. That's why I said spiritually. But I just find it interesting that the stuff she was saying, some of it coordinated with the dreams that I had. And now with these evidences of the Epstein files, whew, with the evidence of these Epstein files, who knows where this is about to go now? Sloan Bella basically predicted that in 2026, 2027, that will be the beginning to Jay-Z's downfall. Not necessarily downfall, but his um, drawback or his drawdown, meaning that he's going to be losing position, or um, he will be de-elevated from the status that he's at now. And that could or could not happen. That basically he was next in line, and that he's connected to some really high powers. And because he's connected to these high powers, he's still okay. But there's a possibility that between now, being that these evidences is coming out, that between now and 2036, so he got about 10 years, but within these 10 years, that he's going to get chopped down little by little. Now, they're saying that he fled the country. We don't have any evidence of that. However, Sloan Bella says she's seen in her, whatever she does. She said that she has basically predicted that him and Beyonce and his family, his children, they won't be living in America any longer. They will be moving out of America. And it's funny because they're saying that Jay fled America right after these Epstein files. Uh, yo, you can't make this stuff up, and it's crazy how later down the line, when the stuff comes out, the people that see these things or predicted these things, we thought that you were crazy, or we thought that this was, entertainment, but really, spiritually, that you were getting put on. Spiritually, you were getting put on. Sorry about the noises, everybody. I told you I gotta clean up still. I'm at work, so I still gotta clean up. What the hell? I'm at work, but I still gotta clean up. What is that? People are so gross, dog. It's crazy how gross people are sometimes. Jesus. Anyways, but yeah, Sloan Bella was saying these things, and I'm like, yo, some of this stuff is lining up with the dreams that I had. So now I gotta really go sit with the Most High and say, Lord, like, what is all these things that you've been showing me over the years? What do they mean? And what am I to do with them? But I find it very interesting that these dreams that I had, some of them coincide with the information Sloan Bella was saying. And Sloan Bella has been absolutely correct about everything. Now, what I also wanted to talk about really quickly, um, that to kind of prove my point about how these actresses and actors, these actors, actresses, musicians, whoever, you don't even got to be in the entertainment industry. You could be in any industry. You're all connected through this occultic system, right? But there were 7 months in between the death of uh, Angie Stone and D'Angelo, right? Both R&B artists. She died March 2025. He died October 2025. 7 months in between. The number seven, right? Peep this, 227 days, right? That's 227. 227 is a famous TV show if you don't know. It's in the black community, you would know. 227, you see that, you just like, oh, I know that show. Anytime you see 227, you be like, I know that show. But I thought it was interesting because these are foundational Black Americans. These are Black Americans. And 227, that's a Black American cultural thing. 7 months, seven is the magic number. It's a lucky number, right? It's God's number. So I wonder if they were part of this system, of this sacrificial system where they got to take you out or they need their energy back, right? They reclaim. Who's they? You know who they is. Hold on, everybody. I got to wash these walls down real quick. Give me a second. 2 seconds. I'll be right back. I just gotta wash these walls down. I'm at work, everybody. I just wanted to talk to y'all real quick, man. Tomorrow I'm gonna talk to y'all too about something a little bit more engaging and personal. Um, and I want to talk about these things, heritage, and uh, the different communities that attack me and the women that attack me and all these things. I want to answer some questions and I want to get to the bottom of some things. So hopefully you'll join me tomorrow. Shout out to everybody in the live. But yeah, I mean, these dreams, people might say, "Oh, you listen to too much Jay-Z, Beyonce, or you watch too much, imagery of them or whatever." And it's not the case. Although I am a Jay-Z fan, who's not a Jay-Z fan though? Like, let's be honest. But these dreams were too specific. Even if I did listen to them too much and now they're in my subconscious, why would they be so specific about children? And why would they always be checking up on me? Like, it's interesting. Now, people might say, oh, you want them to be your parents. No. Oh, come on. I'll fix yourself. There it is. Okay. Oh, no, somebody's in there. Shoot. All right, we're going to move down the line. I gotta get my charger out the bathroom. Hold up, everybody. Okay. Come on, I'm trying to fix this thing. Sorry about that, people. Okay, because I keep rotating the device. My bad, everybody. Um, but yeah, I think that the Lord has given me certain spiritual gifts that I've always had, and that I need to learn how to use them or analyze them, whatever. It's very interesting. So that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be trying to figure out how to utilize my spiritual gifts of foresight and of being able to, I guess, remote view. I'm going to be working on trying to figure out my abilities in foresight and remote viewing because I guess I got abilities like that. You know what I mean? Which is exciting because it's like, oh, I get to see in the future. How do I tap into that? um, at first, I couldn't control it, but I think that Because last night the Lord gave me a dream, or He allowed me to dream, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good dream," in the sense of like there was some like vindication. There's some type of vindication coming, which I can't wait. I'm just like, "Oh Lord, I can't wait." I've been under so much attack, but I'm gonna talk about some of these things tomorrow. I'm not gonna talk about my personal things right now. This is just, and this is not really just gossip and entertainment. I'm doing this because I'm trying to also understand, what the Lord is doing for all of us. There is there is a system. There is like everything that's going on right now with the great reveal, as I like to call it, the great reveal. Everything is being revealed from the last, I don't know, I guess maybe 20 to 30 years. From the last 20 to 30 years, from the last 20 to 30 years, everything is being revealed. Everything is being revealed. And it's going to change the dynamic of how some things operate and how this system is changing anyway. It's moving quickly too. You're not going to keep up with it, and eventually it's going to go way too. It's going to go so. You'll never be able to keep up with the system because of AI. AI is moving too quickly. All the stuff that they're doing with us is just moving so quickly. But what I would say is that I'm going to really try to work on these abilities that I have. These possibly psychic abilities. Now, my father said that my grandmother was like that on his side. She had a lot of psychic ability. My mom's, let her tell it, but from what I know, um, me and her other children have dreams, right? Prophetic dreams, but I don't know how much they have them. I didn't always have these prophetic dreams. I say that they're prophetic because there's nothing else like them. You know, there's nothing else like them. There's no way to describe it. And I'm not the only one having these types of dreams. And I really am trying to tell you, family, like the shit that's coming down the line in the next couple of years, we are not ready for. And it's gonna be trouble, trouble. And I don't care how rich you are, it's not gonna protect you because soon, you see where gold and silver is at, family. It's astronomical right now. You've never seen these prices before in your livelihood. And the worst that the Trump keeps running around doing the stuff he's doing, changing things rapidly as fast as he's changing them. Excuse me. Oh yeah, I need bags. Um, the stock market was just down not too long ago. But the more that he keeps running around, changing things fast as possible, things gonna change and it's gonna flip on the United States of America. We're on a decline, family, and you know this is really just the beginning. We're on a decline though, and you know I really feel like these Epstein files is gonna lead to World War III because it's all about covering things up. Um, we they gotta these people are trying to protect themselves, and there is a legion of them, and they're unified in mentality and through sexual rituals and things like that. So it makes sense. We always knew that Jay-Z and Beyonce, we've heard things about them. I've definitely heard that Beyonce, her dancers definitely say that she be doing some type of witchcraft and stuff. Now, Sloan Bella said that she can see that they do candle magic, which um, she said is like really beginner form of magic, right? I don't, anywho. Uh, but what I would say is this: I believe that they know other forms of magic as well, but they may not have to utilize them because the people that they're dealing with, you know, they're probably not even aware that witchcraft is being done against them, except for some of those testimonies, like I said, of Beyonce's backup dancers. You would have to look that up because there is testimony of Beyonce's background dancers, and they said that she used to do some weird shit to them. Okay, there's testimony that actually one of them took Beyonce to court or something like that. Um, but the paranormal and all that stuff, it is real and can be tapped into. Um, and I think a lot of the times we get confused because we don't know the ancient systems, right? Those ancient Egyptian systems, those ancient Sumerian systems, Babylonian systems. We're not really familiar with all that history and the things that they used to do. So, with the lack of knowledge, and not knowing about these ancient systems and what they did. Now, I use this picture specifically. Peep the color, peep the colors, peep the colors. Now, Beyonce, she's not necessarily wearing a Tiffany blue, but it could be seen as a Tiffany blue, right? And there's that pink, that fuchsia color, that purplish kind of color. Um, Now I know y'all gonna say those are Easter colors, and you're not incorrect. But these are also Phoenician colors. Now the Phoenicians were ancient merchants who figured out how to make money off of dyes and other products. And purple, making these colors that Jay Z and Beyonce is wearing, the Tiffany blue, the fuchsia, the pink. Um, that was prized. Like that was like if you were rich, you would go to the Phoenicians and they would dress you down in some fine linens made with special colors that you don't see every day, right? That's what the Phoenicians was doing. So we got to be mindful, family, that they may be aware of these ancient systems, and these ancient systems, what do they say? Everybody knows this from any culture. Nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun. So that means that even though we look like we living in the Jetsons, ain't nothing really new that ain't been already done, right? There's these conspiracy theories or rumors or allegedly uh, that the ancient people already had these technologies that we have now. Um, but you could do that research on your own. Sorry, family. I am at work, so I'm kind of like trying to do this and talking to y'all at the same time. I got two bathrooms in. I got two more to do. I gotta go remop the other bathroom real quick. But anywho, um, yeah, we really need to pay attention because the veils are opening up for us to see through. And my most exciting part of this year is going to be Steven Spielberg's movie Disclosure. Make sure y'all get ready for that Steven Spielberg movie Disclosure. That thing is going to be box office. Let me tell you. I can't wait to see that movie because there's things in that movie that they about to reveal to us about what's going on. Because they've been saying that there's aliens among us, that they live among us, and that certain people are aliens, and you just wouldn't know. I believe it. I believe it. And when we find out the actual truth one day, when they actually say, yeah, this is that and that's this, people gonna be like, I knew this motherfucker wasn't no, you know what I mean? People could be like, I knew it. I knew it. That's what they gonna say. Well, hold on. What am I trying to do? Oh yeah. Sorry, everybody. I'm just trying to stay focused and talk to y'all. But yeah, I'm gonna be like, I knew these people were aliens. But I think it's gonna be a lot about remote viewing. You're gonna see a lot about remote viewing in that movie. Steven Spielberg's Disclosure. It's gonna be a lot about remote viewing. There's gonna be, I think there's gonna be some notion or something like about cloning, right? And having power over these clones. I think there's gonna be a lot about that in this movie. Um, because this stuff ain't far fetched, family. I don't know why we look at this stuff and still say today in 2026 like this stuff is far fetched. We should be amazed, like, yo, this is crazy. But then we should also be like, yo, what are you people in power doing? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Excuse my language. Like, why do y'all need all this power and why do you need to clone people? Like, what's up with that? But really, you clone people because think of those kingdom days back in those ancient medieval days where you needed people to do what you said, right? So everybody needed to follow the plan. If you wasn't following the plan, halas you. We gotta halas him. You know what I mean? We gotta follow the plan because we're trying to get this agenda done. But if you get in the way, we're gonna have to halas you. For all my Arabic people, you know what that means. Oh, why would it do that? That was weird. Okay, hold on. Ugh, hold on, everybody. My bad. Um, for all my Arabic people, you know what that means. We're gonna have to halas them, and I speak the most ghettoest. I sound so ghetto when I try to talk people languages. I'm so sorry to my Arabic people because Arabic is actually a really beautiful language. And if I ever misinterpret it or mispronounce it, please forgive me. I just want to say that ahead of time. Yeah, but it's vital right now for us to really take our time and see with an open eye. And I don't mean your actual eye. I mean, faith is believing without seeing, family. It's your instinct. You just know. And so, you know, I think that we're not too far off from really getting the revelations that we really want to see and hear. And when we do, I hope that we are ready for them and I hope that we can change. Um, anyways, thanks for listening to me. Thanks for everybody joining the chat as I talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce and I talk about my dreams. If you want to hear, I'm not going to re-go through it, but you can definitely get the playback and hear the dreams. And I just wanted to get up here and let people know, like, this is not for like cloud chasing or anything like that. That I did give these dreams up to witnesses before all this stuff happened. But I find it ironic is the reason why I'm posting about this because when I listened to Sloan Bella's podcast last year, last March, about this same situation, she pretty much predicted all this stuff. She talked about him being involved in, invested in remote viewing and having people who can remote view. And so, like I said in the dreams, it may just be me just being able to see what might be going on in a part of their life, but they had stash houses, but not for drugs. Okay, you'll have to go back and listen to my dream, but and they used to just check on me, which I thought was weird. Like, what kind of investment do you have with me? And even still, what kind of commitment did I make with them unknowingly, right? That you would come check on me periodically throughout my life spiritually. So I always thought that was interesting. But the first dream was the most interesting, which like I said, it was about children, and they were in a house and townhouse, and I believe it was upstate somewhere, maybe in between Delaware and New York. Um, there was a bunch of townhouses in that neighborhood, like a normal neighborhood. It was just like a normal neighborhood. You wouldn't even know. But there were children in there. I was one of them, and they came to check on us. They came to see about their possible investment. So that's, I know people might be like, well, that's weird. Yeah, you know, you guys know I like to share anyway. You know what I mean? Whether you, I don't really care how you feel towards it. You know, I'm sure y'all gonna be like, oh my God, but that's okay. You know, I just wanted to share it because, you know, I'm looking to find out what's going on with me spiritually and why I have these visions and dreams, um, and why they're so specific is the question, really. You know, that's what makes me think that there's something to the dreams that I have because they're so specific. And it's like, damn, this is just so specific. Um, but yeah, quite honestly, I think that you know, it's sad because, and I think that what Jay put Dame through, and he did put him through stuff. For everybody who say, "Oh, Jay ain't put Dame through," yes, he did. Yes, he did, and you know he did. We watched it. We just didn't put blame on Jay for nothing because he stayed quiet about it. But we knew he was like, no rice, no champagne. You know, he was on his even though Jay is not from Harlem, he was on some Harlem shit with it. You know what I mean? He was on his Cam's character from the movie. Dang, I don't know why I can't think of the movie. 50 trying to buy the rights to that about Alpo and all them. You know what movie I'm talking about. I can't think of the name right now. Forgive me. Um, but yeah, man, who knows? Who knows? Who knows, right? Who knows? But nah, I think that is definitely, and like I said, I have witnesses because I told these witnesses about, and I know at the time when I told them, they're like, "What is he talking about?" But it's crazy now because Cats is in the Epstein files. You know what I mean? And like, I was listening to, did y'all hear Bill Gates' wife or ex-wife talk about him being in the Epstein files? It's if you really think about it, it's almost like this shit is being set up. And I don't want to give y'all my final theory because y'all already know, if you really watch me, you already know what I really believe is going on and who's really in control. And it goes back to Genesis. It goes back to the origin, excuse me. It goes back to the origin of the garden. Everything, you know, Benny the Butcher, if he's a rapper, if you know about him, he's got a song called Everything Relates Back to Drug Dealing, right? That's the hook, which is true. You know what I mean? It's true. And that's why I said I think Jay-Z and Pusha T's involvement probably got something more to do with drugs than them trafficking human beings. Because black folk, for me, and don't get me wrong, I may be wrong, but black folk, I know black folk, we not really into that type of shit. That's some foreign shit. Like, and nothing against people from the other countries, but like, and not to say that it hasn't happened before, because I gotta watch you guys. You guys like to challenge to too much, but yo, black folk ain't really into like we like to get money. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but if anything, you know, we might do some. I don't even want to say what kind of crimes black folks are gonna do because I'm not trying to generalize us. But one thing for sure, two things for certain, black folk not really into stealing kids. I say not really because I don't. I'm sure there are some of us that are too far gone, but it's a very small percentage. Like we're not usually the ones. We're not the usual. Excuse me. We're not the usual suspect. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Please correct me out there. We're not the usual suspect when it comes to those types of crimes. You see high level shit when you see crimes with transporting people, especially children. You talking about high level supremacy, and you talking about high level entities and corporations low key and businesses low key, covered up, and Swiss bank accounts, and you know continental travel. You know what I mean? You're talking big money. When you're talking about transporting children and transporting human beings across the globe. Okay, this big. Okay, that's you talking big money. Okay, you're not talking little money. These big money players that's doing stuff like that. I'm not even gonna name no nationalities. We're not even gonna put no limitations to who could be involved. Because this shit is scary, dog. And I do think that when all is done, certain individuals definitely, once everything is figured out, definitely need to be held accountable if that's what's going on. But I think it's the drugs. I think that Jigga and Pusha, anything, they was out here pushing weight. They was out here pushing weight globally. You know what I mean? And that's not a good thing. But I'd rather see them do that type shit than do the other type shit. And the thing is, the reason why I feel like they're in the Epstein files is because those motherfuckers, those high level people, they not about to let Jay and Push do what they do and not get, have something on them. Yeah, right. Y'all not about to be out here selling drugs to us and we don't got nothing on you because we snitching. These high level people gonna snitch. That's what it is. But you know how it is. Like, when you dealing with these crimes, people, you gotta be, and that's what I'm saying, they gotta be, it's ritualed. You gotta be a part of the club. You gotta be a part of the ritual. We need to know that we can trust you. So yeah, Jay and Pusha T might have been, come on, orientation. Jay and Pusha T might have been in them files, and they might have been forced or coerced and recorded being entrapped in some questionable acts. But we don't know. This is all allegedly. Like, we don't have no information on this just yet. I think I got one more bathroom. Somebody's in that bathroom. As soon as they get out, I'm gonna go clean it. But yeah, I just wanted to share these experiences that I have. Hopefully, you're understanding out there, the audience, that you be like, wow, it's possible for people to be relayed spiritual messages, or to travel and see things, or to be given the gift to see things that they would normally see, or see into people's lives, or whatever it may be. I don't have control over it though. And I want people to know that, like, I'm not looking to force my mind into new dimensions or multiversal, I'm not doing any of that. The Lord, I believe, allows me to see these things or travel. And, the difference between astral projection and, like, visions and stuff, they're pretty much the same thing. It's just a different terminology, right? And we like to associate astral projection with demonicness or evil. But really, it's just a word that we gave being able to travel somewhere, right? Your spirit. Now, if you have to, as a person, recognize that you're a spirit and a soul. Come on now. You are a spirit and a soul. So it's definitely possible, for you to go somewhere and see things, right? It's totally possible. And there's just too much evidence and too many people that have gone through certain spiritual experiences for these things to be doubted or be looked at as like, hey, yo, you crazy, cuz. You crazy. No. So I just wanted to share those experiences that I had with you.
Hopefully they're received openly and people kind of just take them like, okay, that's interesting, versus being like, ah, here we go again, Nayland. He's the child of God again, versus that, because I know how you guys are out there, but try to, hear me out. And, you know, I, um, I look forward to the Lord explaining to me why I'm able to see certain things. Now, I haven't been dreaming. I did have a dream last night though, but I haven't been like dreaming, so which is good. I'm like thankful actually, because I'm like, Lord, it's not that I can't handle the dreams. I don't know what to do with them when you give them to me, right? And how long do I sit on them? And but one thing I'm always gonna do, family, is I'm always gonna let you guys know to get ready for something or prepare for something, even if it may not come right away. I'm always gonna like care enough to say, I think we should look into this. And we should, as a people and as nations, be like Jewish folk after the Holocaust. Because after the Holocaust, they believe anything now. They're going to make sure they investigate on every last piece of information that might have something to do with them being eviscerated off this earth. You know, they almost went extinct, right? So they're going to look into it. And we should be that way too. We shouldn't label everything a conspiracy theory. We should assign a committee to it. Back in the day, the Majestic Seven, I think that's what they're called, they were assigned to investigating, paranormal things and UFOs and things like that. Because it was a lot of that activity going on and people wanted to know within on the government level. Right. And see, back in the day, they believe people who had experiences versus like now we're less believant in those people, right? Unless there's just undeniable evidence. If that's there's just undeniable evidence, but we're less into believe those types of people. But back in the day, before there was all this freaking technology, you were the technology. And you still are, but you won't tap into yourself. You need to learn how to tap in, and it takes you getting away from your cell phone. It would take you would have to do these things to tap into yourself. You would have to get rid of your cell phone for the course of maybe 6 months or more. You would literally have to get rid of it, cut it off. You could only use Wi-Fi services when you need to, and you would have to be willing to disconnect, because you can't have those signals pouring into your mind when you're trying to become the technology instead of utilizing technology. Our ancestors used to utilize their own abilities. Ancestors from all across the globe. That's why we have pyramids, because everywhere in the world there's a pyramid. We were able to utilize ourselves as the technology. So you would have to get rid of your cell phone. Secondly, you would have to be focused and determined to meditate. Not only for me, I have to praise the Lord because I believe in the Lord. I know everybody can't go do what I do, but what I recommend is that you at least meditate and pray, in a secluded forest or water. And I call them realms. These are realms that the Lord established. There's the forest realm, right? There's the water realms and etc. Sky realms, etc. The ground realm, things that live underground, etc., etc., etc. There's all these realms that the Lord created. And so you have to visit the realms and meditate in those realms because of the scripture. If you don't praise the Lord, the rocks and the trees will cry out for you to give praise to the Lord, which means that they have energy, which means that they're alive, which means that they can speak. And if you sit in nature long enough, nature will speak to you and your intuition will rebuild itself back up to when you can have foresight and your intuition will just pick up on things. What does Spider-Man call it? Spider-Man calls it what? His spidey sense, right? He senses danger or he senses things. He just senses it. Like, damn, something's going on. Boom, there it is, right when you turn your head. Okay? So these things are real. But as long as you stay embedded in your phone and social media, you won't be able to access your own superpowers. I believe that we all have an ability to be super. We have that X gene in us, right? We all can be X-Men low key. Speaking of which, I think that I've just watched that there's a new movie called War Machine coming out about this like Sentinel drone thing. It's huge, by the way. Um, Basically, and like the Terminator, okay, War Machine, and then we have the Sentinels from X-Men, right? And the new X-Men movie's coming out, and there's Sentinels in that movie. I think they're trying to prep our minds for these robots, dog. Low key in the future, like there may be robotic things that are gigantic that move and operate independently. We might have to worry about shit like that in the future, or maybe our children. Lord, but that might be too far fetched. Let me draw back some. Uh oh. If you got to remove your comments, that means you need to be hid from this channel. Hyper Electric, you're out of here. Dun 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 dun. Got you up out of here, player. Um, just for a little while, cause you posting stuff and you removing it. That means you wasn't supposed to be in here anyways. Anywho, I gotta get back to work. It's 12 o'clock. I got a bunch of stuff to do. We're gonna have a session tomorrow, so join me tomorrow. I appreciate everybody being in here, and thank you for liking and subscribing. If you did, if you didn't, it's okay too. I understand. But yeah, I'm gonna try to go live twice tomorrow. I have a bunch of things I want to talk about, and I'm gonna get prepared for that. But anyways, thank you for joining. Thank you for hearing me out. Lifestyle here, child of God. Peace. Shout out to you.